Over recent years, football supporters in the Midlands will have noticed the steady march of Chinese investment into British football. Wolverhampton Wanderers and West Bromwich Albion are both under Chinese ownership, and Birmingham City remain under the control of Trillion Trophy Asia, a holding company from Hong Kong. Now, given the prevalence of foreign owners in the modern game, particularly the Premier League, and China's growing relevance within the sport, these are hardly remarkable developments. Yet the political machinations of faceless officials in the committee rooms of government in Beijing are probably much closer to these clubs than supporters realise. Wolves and West Brom are part of West Midlands conurbation, the third largest population centre in Britain, with a population of almost 2.5 million people. It is a strategically important region, linking north and south, at the heart of which, of course, is Birmingham, the country's second largest city behind London. The region is not only in need of infrastructural investment, it is also playing a pivotal role in the British government's flagship infrastructural project, the High Speed 2 rail link. China has already invested in the West Midlands transport network, for instance by helping to fund improvements to a rail freight link from Southampton. This makes it much easier to get Chinese products from one of Britain's biggest deep-water ports to one of Britain's biggest freight hubs. It also provides some indications about the underpinning motives of football club owners from China, who've also recently acquired Southampton. In 2017, one of these club owners reached an agreement with government in Beijing to construct the country's first ever private high-speed rail link. By April this year, the corporation involved had finalised a $4.2 billion financing for the project. The corporation in question is Fosun, the Chinese conglomerate that owns Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, it could be sheer coincidence, but Wolverhampton is also home to the former headquarters of the now liquidated Carillion, a British company that was responsible for leading construction of High Speed 2. In March 2019, stories emerged that China had expressed a willingness to take over the HS2 project, a British official having travelled to meet the representatives of the China Railway Corporation. One of state-owned CRC's closest formal strategic partners is Fosun. Now, HS2 will be a vast project. The first phase from London to Birmingham will cost £27 billion. The second phase from Birmingham northwards will cost a further £29 billion. For China, its government and some of its biggest businesses, this would be a hugely lucrative contract to secure. Of course, Fosun's ownership of Wolves has been very well received to this point. The club have built a competitive side. They are currently qualified for the Europa League and last season reached the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Unlike many foreign-owned clubs, supporters have also been encouraged by the levels of communication between the owners and their new community. But perhaps it isn't football that Fosun's senior executives are specifically interested in. Maybe the Chinese government is exercising some degree of control over Fosun in the same way that it has in overseeing stadium developments in fuel-rich countries hosting the Africa Cup of Nations over the past decade. Could it be that Fosun bought Wolves principally as a means to much greater ends? Well, none of this should be a surprise, as we have already witnessed Chinese investors openly admit to acquiring European clubs for reasons other than football alone. In one case, some Chinese company officials wryly observed how they had bought the Czech Republic with beer and football when CEF Energy acquired a brewer, the Pivovari Lobkowicz Group, as well as the country's leading club, Slavia Prague. Now, crucially, CEFC explained how football was an important means of driving its business interests in Central and Eastern Europe. Later, a Chinese organisation with ambiguous links to its government, Sinobo, took over the running of the Czech club. Coincidentally, in 2017, Sinobo also acquired Beijingguan of the Chinese Super League, overnight making it one of the world's most expensive clubs. Though some might question the motives and limits of China's football investments, football fans should be in no doubt about the scale of the country's involvement in the sport. There is reportedly some affection for the game amongst the country's top politicians, and of course President Xi Jinping is an avid fan. However, it is the country's size and voracious appetite for resources and political power that is the real driving force behind its investments. Hence, as fans sit watching football in stadiums from Franceville to Southampton, it is likely that a deep water port, reserve of oil deposits or a major rail development is never very far away.